Welcome to Real Talk for Real Life, where we're realizing everyone is always learning and living your full experience. I'm your host, Coach C, and this is your Motivational Monday episode, The Perfect Possible Position. Yeah, I know. So many of us have our own ideas about what being in the perfect possible position looks like. I actually say this phrase a lot when I'm talking about how we set up my young men for success. I want them exposed to opportunities. I want them equipped with resources. I want them surrounded by people who can help them navigate life. Because, of course, we want the people we love to be positioned well. But can I challenge something today? There really is no set, perfect position. Yeah, I know a lot of folks would challenge Coach C on this one, and that's fine. I get it because I used to think the same way. If I had these parents, if I had those resources, if I grew up in that neighborhood, if I had their connections, if I had that kind of money, if somebody had opened those doors for me, then surely I would have been in a better place. Surely I would have been further along. Surely I would have been in the perfect possible position. Well, turns out that ain't necessarily true because if resources alone created results, everybody with resources would win. If privilege automatically produced purpose, everybody with privilege would be living purposefully. If power guaranteed success, powerful people would never fall. And we already know that ain't how life works. We have watched individuals from every walk of life fall, fail, and flop. Some people have started with almost nothing and built something extraordinary. Others have been handed access, opportunity, money, connections, education, and every advantage imaginable, and still could not turn the position they were given into progress. So maybe the perfect possible position isn't about where you start. Maybe it's about what you do from where you are. Phew. Because some of us have spent entirely too much time looking at somebody else's starting line. We're calculating their advantages while discounting our own ability. We're studying their position instead of strengthening ours. And we've convinced ourselves that we can't make the move because all of the pieces aren't perfectly positioned yet. But what if this position is enough to make the next move? Not the final move, not the biggest move, not the move that gets you all the way there, just the next move. Because sometimes your perfect possible position is simply the place where you finally decide, I'm going to work with what I have. I'm going to learn what I don't know. I'm going to build what I don't have. I'm going to knock until something opens. I'm going to keep moving until my position changes. See, position isn't always something you're given. Sometimes position is something you create. And let me take that one step further. The perfect possible position isn't a PPP loan. It isn't being privileged. It isn't being powerful because we have watched plenty of people with money, privilege, and power fall, fail, and flop. Nah, Coach C has a different PPP for you this Motivational Monday. The perfect possible position is found in prayer, pursuit, and purpose. Prayer keeps you positioned with God. Before I make the move, before I chase the opportunity, before I decide that somebody else's lane looks better than mine, Let me make sure I'm aligned with what God has for me. Pursuit keeps you moving because you can pray about it, dream about it, journal about it, post about it, and tell everybody what you're going to do. But eventually, you got to move. Pursuit says, I may not have everything, but I'm going after what I believe is possible with what I have right now. Purpose keeps you pointed in the right direction because success without purpose can have you winning at something you were never called to do. Purpose reminds you that the goal isn't simply to get ahead. It's to become who you're supposed to become while doing what you're supposed to do. So stop waiting for everything to become perfect before you position yourself. Stop assuming somebody else's advantages automatically make their position better than yours. Stop telling yourself you would have succeeded if only you had their parents, their money, their connections, their opportunities, or their life. You don't know what comes with their position, but you do know what's available in yours. And maybe you aren't perfectly positioned according to the world's standards, but baby, prayer can position you. Pursuit can propel you. Purpose can point you. And when those three start working together, you might discover you were standing in your perfect possible position all along. Here's your fearless homework. Check your PPP. This week, I want you to write down one thing you've been delaying because you don't believe you're in the perfect position to do it. Then ask yourself three questions. One, prayer. Have I actually prayed for direction about this, or have I just worried about it? Two, pursuit. What is one action I can take this week with the resources I already have? Three, purpose. Why does this matter to me? And does it align with who I believe I'm called to become? Then take that one action. Not when everything lines up, not when you have more money, not when somebody finally gives you permission, not when your circumstances become perfect, from the position you're in right now, because fearless living isn't waiting for the perfect position. Sometimes fearless living is the positioning. This is Coach C, and this has been another Motivational Monday edition of Real Talk for Real Life. Remember, prayer, pursuit, purpose. Your PPP might be more powerful than you think. Now get in position. And as always, live fearless, keep learning, keep living. This is Real Talk for Real Life, where we're realizing everyone is always learning and living your full experience. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and Facebook at Real Talk for Real Life. That's L.Y.F.E for more inspiration, merchandise, and motivation between episodes. This is Coach C. I'll see you in the next one.